welcome everybody to Write Better Together. I'm John Myers. Hey, look everybody, it's Peggy Ann Kennedy.
Hi, John Myers. Hi, everybody.
Hey, so when I recorded that episode with Cigna without you, and you weren't there, so Esmatisco declared Cigna as the second most fascinating woman on Earth. So I said it was Cleopatra, and then it was number one, and then Kelly Clarkson needed to be in my top 3 or whatever, and then Esmatisco put Cigna at number 2, put herself at number 3, and then pushed poor Kelly Clarkson all the way down to number 4. And then so Cigna and I were talking about that. What about Peggy Ann? Where does she go?
Who, me?
Yeah. No, what other Peggy Ann do you know?
Where do I go? Where did y'all land on?
Oh, we didn't. And we've had so many great guests, and so it's not fair to try to smush them all into the top 5, but you belong in the top 5.
I don't know about that. Compared to some of our guests and Cleopatra and all, I feel like I'm way down there.
Emily's
If
in the
on the
top
list at all.
5. Stephanie Jones is in the top 5. But that's, you think you're way down there because of your issues. Have you not read all the viewer mail of people saying how much they love your voice?
I haven't. I'll have to go check it out.
All right. What are we talking about today, Peggy Ann, besides how fascinating you are?
Well, John Myers, we have quite the list.
Oh.
First, we'll have viewer response,
Yes.
and then we have a very special guest, Adrian Sanders Russo.
Oh, yes.
And she'll be talking about why you need boredom, why that's important in our lives.
Goodness.
And then we'll have Hey John Myers, and after that will be the final act.
Oh, and you've come up with a game.
I have.
To challenge my creativity. How'd you get out of your bubble this week?
Well, on Thursday, my mother and I went to a restaurant that we love to death. It's called Nola's. It's kind of a Creole Louisiana style place.
Nola, like New Orleans.
New Orleans, exactly.
Wow.
And it's a New Orleans themed restaurant. When you go inside, it really it feels like you're in New Orleans.
And you had chicken nuggets.
I did have chicken, yes. I found out that I can eat chicken in small quantities again, so I'm very happy about that. And we actually met a couple from Louisiana, from New Orleans.
Oh.
And they live here now, but they miss it. And they were talking about how Nola's is pretty much the best you can get around here in like a Cajun cuisine.
Was it, I was gonna say, did they consider it to be authentic?
They considered it pretty authentic. I mean, it's not the same as New Orleans food, but they considered it pretty good. Really good.
Cool. What'd you have? What kind of chicken?
They call it gali chicken. And and dirty rice, which kind of reminds me of Bojangles' dirty rice, if you've ever had that.
So you can eat dirty rice?
I can.
Wow.
It's small and easily digestible, I guess, so that works. And cheese grits. They have delicious grits.
Oh my gosh. My mom liked grits. I'm not a fan of grits.
Ooh, I love them.
My mom, bless her heart, rest in peace. She would always, she never ordered a meal that she didn't change something on. Like, can I have the grits from this and put it on with this? Or can I have, I know this, whatever, this certain kind of bread is really good. Can I have the bread that you normally put on that and put it over on this? And she was always rewriting the menu for people.
I'm getting to be that way with my issues. Some things I can't eat, so I'll have to say, can I exchange these veggies for, I don't know, a baked potato or something like that.
Did you eat it all, or do you bring in the leftovers home?
Oh, it gave me another meal or two. And they gave us, my mom and I ordered a chocolate cake. I expected it to be, I don't know, just a normal piece of chocolate cake. That thing was huge. It looked like a freaking block of, I don't know what you call it. It was ginormous anyway. It fed me 2 or 3 times.
Is that my prize that I get to win today if I win the game?
Sadly, no, but hopefully your prize is just as good. I
Y'all
hope
ate
you
all the
like it.
cake, man.
But oh, we met somebody at Nola's. We met somebody also from North Carolina. My mom and I are from North Carolina, so that was really cool. We heard her accent and we told her, "Hey, we're from North Carolina," and she was like, "Oh, I can hear from your voice." So that was really cool. And apparently, she was dragged by her husband too, just the way my mom was. So both married Tulsa boys.
So who is the I'm guessing it's not you, but the way you're telling the story, maybe it is you. You're sitting there and you're like, oh, there's an accent I recognize over there. I'm gonna go talk to these complete strangers. Was that you or your mom?
Kind of my mom, mostly my mom,
It was you
but
together?
I
It was
was
both of you together?
right.
And then the same with the New Orleans. Who opened up the conversation?
Um, kind of both of us together. I don't remember how it happened, but we were kind of looking at each other's food, and they were telling us that ours looked good, and our cake especially, and we were telling them that their food looked good. And they were talking about how much they love gumbo, and that I think it's more soupy or something in New Orleans, but here at Nola's it's more like a stew or what they would call a stew in New Orleans. So that was fun getting to talk to them about that.
They kept their
About
hands off your plate though, right? Oh, that
oh
looks
yeah.
good. And then they go
Yeah.
grab some of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
That was a lot of fun. So how did you get out of your bubble, John Myers?
Funny you should ask. I got a haircut. Look at that. Tell me how good it
Oh,
looks. Tell me how beautiful I am. And I'm waiting. I'm not
you're
continuing to share.
beautiful.
um, and so I get my haircut at the same place. Uh, at well, we've talked about it on the show before, so I won't go into all the details. But there's two uh beauty schools here, barber schools or whatever you want to call them, and I didn't know about them until 2 years ago. And so I just prior to that I got my haircut at normal places, and so but every month I get my haircut at the in my undisclosed location at one of the two, which normally the main one is the one I go to, uh, because it's all women. And as you know, I only like women doctors, women lawyers, women car mechanics. I'm not a fan of the men. And the other one is all men. Isn't that weird? And there's no rule. Like the one has graduated or organically uh, over the years, just like all the women have segregated to the one over here by the grocery store, and all the men have segregated themselves to on the other side of town. And isn't that weird? But there's no rule. A man can come to the one where I get my haircut mostly, but the one I get my haircut mostly is closed on Mondays. So there has been a couple times where I was leaving town Tuesday or Thursday or Tuesday or Wednesday where I had to go get my haircut on Monday. Then I went to the other one, and they're both good, but the one I go to is better. So I didn't. So I've only been going there 2 years. So I've probably only been there 20 times, 24 times. I didn't know till like 5 or 6 times ago that the chairs, you know how like in marching band or in orchestra or whatever, your first chair oboe and second chair oboe, and like the better you are, the higher you are in the line of oboe oboe people. Um, they do that there, and so I don't know how they have. I don't know how they move up in the thing, but it's not time because since I've learned that, now I'm fascinated by it. And so all the way to the left, so there's 24 chairs and two lines of 12. And so all the way to the left, when you walk into the place towards the front, that's the best that's first chair haircutter right there. And then all the way to the right are the worst people. And I didn't know that. And so I'm like, how many times have I been down at the right? Like my hair is like I've been bald since I was 20, so it doesn't matter. And but how many times have they put me down at that end? And I didn't know. But since I've known that in the last 5 or 6 months, uh, they do leapfrog over to each other. Like someone might be in the 10th chair and they did really well this week. They move up every Tuesday, and uh, they might wind up in the skip over two or three people and wind up in the fourth chair or whatever. So this is my first time yesterday that I ever had a first chair person cut
Ooh.
my hair. And they've always put me in the middle of the people. And not like, what's challenging about, like, I'm not dyeing it, I'm not streaking it, I'm not doing any designs carved into the side of it. Like, I don't know. But yeah, I had the best, and she was the best. But what made her the best? It wasn't what she was doing. It was the conversation that she was having. So when I said who opens the conversation across the, at the Nola restaurant, across the restaurant with these total strangers, it, there was another one. There was another girl there who did the same thing, and but she was more in the middle. But I bet you she leapfrogged up fast. But so this was by far the best conversation, that where whatever you said, like, she'd ask you a question, whatever you said, she'd tie it into her life and then reflect it back to to my life, right? And so it was like a genuine conversation, like what we have here. So she would make a great podcast host.
Awesome.
So can you think of something where people start at one level and then work their way up to the level that's open for the, like, all of her coworkers to know, oh, she jumped over us, or oh, I've been here a year and I'm still in chair number 9 or whatever. Can you think of something like that?
There is the military.
Oh, of course there is. I didn't think of that. uh is it always competence, or is it sometimes the time you spent, or is it a mixture of both?
Kind of a mix of both, and plus, everyone has a test that they have to pass in order to advance. There's ways you can pass the test but not advance, but if you don't pass, you're not gonna advance. So, and it's jobs or what we call rate specific. So according to your job, so like electricians get a test about their job as an electrician. I got a test as salesperson pretty much. So a little bit of that plus your performance and all of that.
In academia, you can move up from, like, instructor 1 to assistant I don't even know all the orders. Assistant professor, full-time professor,
Mm,
right? And you're working full-time in all those different levels. But a lot of that is time and how many hours of service you put in, but
right.
also how many things you got published. But and you do have a, I don't want to call it an interview. We call them job talks. But you do have to have a job talk in front of everybody, where you, like, teach a little fake class, and the other professors in that department are the students in that class, to move up. So there is a kind of a ranking there, but it's not comparing. Like, the haircutting is comparing to, like, you go to work that day and I'm in the first chair and the other people in the ninth chair. Like, just imagine, like, in the classroom, you're in your Milton class. What if this chair is for the number 1 student and this chair back
Ooh,
here is for the worst student?
that would
Like,
be horrible. I've
yeah.
heard of
Or go ahead.
I think I remember hearing in history class there were some cultures, I can't remember if it was Persian, Greek, or Roman or what, but some cultures where the king would have, the best, and then like his favorite person, honorable person sitting close to him. And then the further you get from the king or emperor, whoever he is, the less you are. And everyone could see that. And so it could be either really good or really humiliating wherever you're sitting. So, people would always
Yeah.
try and get up and kiss them,
Again,
kid sorry.
that
Never mind that, cut that part out, but,
no, nope. Uh, that and that's not just history. Like, at the Oscars, the big name stars are up front by the stage, and then
mm,
the B level are in the back, and then the people that there's no chance they're ever going to win, they're way up in the balcony. That's today, and so yeah, I didn't think about that. That's the same
true,
kind of thing.
true, very true.
Wow.
Mm.
What if you were, like, on a team of accountants, and, like, there were 10 people on your team, and then where you sat around the conference table that day, depending on, you know what? in real estate offices they kind of do that. They'll say this is our top salesperson for the month, and then they don't really go. They might publish who was 1 through 10, but they don't make you sit in like at the children's table at Thanksgiving if you're number 10. Wow, that's interesting. All right, so here's where I was going with all of that. So she went to school. Uh, so I'm like, why are you doing this? You could do anything. You're amazing, and which I'm that that kind of sounded like I was condescending towards hairstyling, which I'm not. And she's like, I went to university for 2 years and I loved it. Got all A's. She told me about her English classes and who she had, and then she had her internship because she was a education major, right? And so at some point, you do an internship where you shadow another teacher, and hers was elementary ed, so she was shadowing a fifth grader, and she's like, "There's no," she's like, "I." She saw those fifth graders. She's like, "No, I'm not doing that for the rest of my life. It was torture for doing it for a semester, and I
I
wasn't even the
couldn't
one
do
in
it either.
charge."
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So isn't that interesting? To your whole life, her whole whatever 20 years of her life, she wanted to be a teacher, and then when she was actually in the classroom, she's like, "Oh, this is horrible." And she's perfectly competent person, and but her skill set wouldn't have been right for that, because the things I told you about how conversational she was and everything, that's not going to work with a fifth grader either.
True. Very true.
And so now, what some people would consider to be a step down, now she's in the right. She's not a square peg in a round hole. Now she's in the right slot, and she's in the number one seat at the of the thing.
That's good. She's where she wants to be.
That's amazing.
And now it's time for the viewer response. Do you have anything for us, John Myers?
You always ask me if I have any. You know I do. That's the most
I
important
do.
thing. It's the most important thing of the show. This comment, let me open it up, is from Kimberly Carpenter Dryman. Do you know her?
I do. I know her very well.
On the Cigna episode, I asked her if she knew Lori McDuffie from North Carolina. She didn't know her.
Hmm.
So since you know her, why don't you pull it up and read it, and then I'll comment upon it, or we both can comment upon it. How's that sound?
This episode was so much fun! Exclamation point.
Oh,
Betsy Kulikowski taught me a great deal about characters and archaeology versus architecture. The,
yes.
the cube game was a blast! Exclamation point. During the game, I would pause the video to answer. For
What?
the for the horse question, I saw my horse as a Clydesdale. I was amazed to hear John Myers mention the same kind of horse.
Wait,
From
stop. So this Kimberly Dryman, does she use the middle name too? The Carpenter?
That's her maiden name.
Does she use it?
Uh, Sometimes, yes. Most
Okay,
of the
so
time, she's
Kimberly
Kimberly
Carpenter
Dryman.
Dryman paused the video and played the game along with us, just like what I love hearing when people do that. How amazing is that? And so her horse was a Clydesdale.
Okay,
Oh.
and let's see. For my ladder, I propped it on a wall and sat on a rung. For
What?
the What does that mean?
What does that mean? All right, you know her better than I do. Okay, so up against the wall means that you so that is your ambition, or your aspirations and your ambition. Leaning up against the wall means you count on other people to help you, not as a crutch, but that that you have a supportive group of people that will help support you. Then she sits on the bottom rung of the ladder. What does that mean, Peggy Ann?
I don't know.
She's sitting on her own ambitions.
Huh. I really don't know. I'll have to give that some thought.
Well, you know her. All right, viewers, write in and tell us, what does it mean that Kimberly sits on her own ambitions?
Yes, please. Okay, so for the flowers, I had
Yes.
lantanas, roses, and gardenias wrapped around the horse's neck.
Oh my goodness. like a lei, like a Hawaiian lei.
Right. She was thinking about the races, like the winners of the races and all the horse races get the flowers around their neck.
Oh, so what was that first flower?
Lantanas.
I don't know what that is. I've never heard of one of those.
Really?
Yeah, is that
Um,
a common flower?
I think so. We have some in our backyard, some orange
Oh,
ones.
so yeah,
Um,
I've never heard of that. So the look at you. How do you put? Look at you pulling that up so fast. No, I've never seen
sorry.
those. And so, uh, so the horse is her partner, her life partner,
Right.
and who's hardworking because he's a Clydesdale. And but also I guess so I was gonna say that she decorates the but you're saying it means that is the horse is a winner because it won a whatever a lei of flowers like a win like a winner. So it's a winning hardworking partner.
I guess so.
Wow, cool.
Okay, she said that this game was intriguing, and for my call to action, I would name my 5 monarch butterflies Cowboy, Freedom, Angel, Precious, and Carolina.
Say
Thank you,
those
Pig.
again.
So, Cowboy, Freedom, Angel, Precious, and Carolina.
I had a cat named Angel once.
Aw. It's always good to name animals something sweet like Angel. Never name them Fireball. I've made that mistake once and I will always regret it. I think I named a goat Spunky or something and he was really, really spunky.
I named a goat Kick Me in the Head. You're supposed to name dogs. Did you know this with a word with a letter with a T in it? I mean, a word with a name with a T in it. So like tiger or spot, because they respond positively to the T sound. So like
Oh,
when I had Yorkies, we had Tessie and Tristan. Tristan had two T's. So they're more obedient if you have a T name, and theoretically, anyway.
cool. Interesting.
Okay.
So
And
she ends it with thank you, Peggy Ann Kennedy and John Myers, for another great podcast.
so thank you, Kimberly, for watching. I'm still on the back in the on the horse back in in the room. So not only she awarded the horse, like because the prompt is just throw a bunch of flowers in the room or throw flowers in the room. It doesn't say to award them to the horse, right? So she consciously just did that. So she bestowed the award onto the horse. Also, she doesn't say what size cube she was.
Oh yeah. Uh, I, I'll have to ask her about
I
that.
wonder what size cube she was.
Hmm.
Interesting. I like when the viewers play along
Yeah, that makes it even more fun and interactive.
because we get to know more about them. Did you learn anything about her from hearing these answers?
Kind of did. She told me a little bit about her past and all when she was younger, like maybe around my age. She had a friend. I hope I get this right. She'll be watching this next week. But anyway, she had a friend or something who knew the Clydesdale people or something. Anyway, she would go see the horses and all, and so that was what she was thinking about during that game. And like I mentioned, she was thinking of the winners getting flowers over their necks. And so that was kind of that. But it was interesting to me that we had horses like that a long time ago and where I'm from.
When the famous Clydesdales were coming through our town, they they have their own security team. I don't know if you know that, and no one can go near them. And but they have to stop every so often to be watered and all of that stuff.
Right.
And there's so many of them, and there's so many trailers that it takes a big giant thing. And I've told you about how big my church is, and so they asked. Plus, my church has a whole security staff besides their own traveling with security staff. So normally, even if you saw them parked somewhere in this big parking lot, uh, you wouldn't be able to approach them or whatever. My pastor got to pet one of them.
Oh,
So
cool.
he saw the real The real famous Clydesdale in person on their way to somewhere because they just stopped, for their rest area, their rest stop. That's all I know. They're big. They're huge. Okay, amazing job.
Thank you. You too.
Speaking of amazing, tell us about our guest.
So we have a special guest today. Her name is Adrian Sanders Russo, and she's an accomplished poet. She's published 2 books, and she is here to talk with us about boredom.
Yep. And we're back. I'm still John Myers. It's still Peggy Ann Kennedy. Who's this other person, Peggy Ann?
This is our special guest, Adrian Sanders Russo,
Oh, my goodness.
poet and expert on boredom.
You are our boredom expert. Last time I talked to you, you only had 2 names.
I did. Yes. Yes. I added one.
Now you have 3 names. So it's been over a year since we talked about boredom and since you've been on the show. And I think it's been 14 months. And no one was talking about it 14 months ago. Now you can't. I mean, part of it is the algorithms. Once you watch one TED talk, you'll get a bunch of stuff, but it's everywhere. So there is an article I just sent Peggy Ann of this Harvard study from last month that extols the virtues of boredom. And it's literally, it's everywhere. It's TED Talks, it's Instagram, there's webinars on it. Look what you started, Adrian.
It's a lot of pressure to be a trendsetter, but here we are.
Why do you think now it exploded as opposed to like what made you notice it 14 months ago, and then why did it explode now and not 2 months later, not a year ago?
Yeah. So when I first started getting interested in the subject, I had read a book. I think I talked about it on the last time I was here, called Stolen Focus. And I was mostly wanting to reduce my screen time, get off my phone, restore my attention span, and things like that. And so the book, obviously by the title Stolen Focus, it covers those things, but I didn't realize it was going to go so in depth about like the brain chemistry and what it does to our brains to be like constantly stimulated, and also how phones do have a big part of that. Phone screens, constant influx of stimulation, but there are also a lot of other factors such as like what you eat, how you sleep, your hobby, different things like that. So I got really interested in it because of that. And I'm also trying to teach my 7-year-old stepson that it is okay to be bored. So I was reading parenting type things about that. Like they don't have to constantly be handed like a phone or a tablet. Like if you're in the car waiting for your food at a restaurant or whatever, that it is okay to be bored, to notice, to let your mind wander.
When will he get a phone?
Hopefully not for a long time. We're not sure. He is only 7 right now, so hopefully we could hold off until
when he graduates from high school.
At least teenage years. But yeah, hopefully we can hold off on that for a little while.
That is so amazing. I don't want to say the name of the school. I'm horrified by this because if you remember, I didn't allow phones in my classrooms, and so the girl that cut my hair yesterday was there after I left, and her whole English 200 was how to use your phone to study literature and how to use AI to study literature.
That's so scary.
That ain't right.
And one of the things that I've noticed at writers' conferences, like where I met Peggy Ann, was Gen Z are the bigger pushbacks on AI, right? The people that are anti-AI are the 18 to 20-year-olds, the 25-year-olds. It's the lazy Gen X and lazy boomers that are using it more or that aren't pushing back as much, is what I've noticed just since speaking at conferences. So she's training those people who already are rebelling against AI. She's training them to use it, forcing them to use it.
Yeah, that's crazy. I work, I copy edit for a tech firm, and we look a lot at compliance and making sure people are keeping data safe. And one thing our company is interested in is like teaching about AI governance, like AI safety and stuff. But at our last team meeting, you're right. It's like the older generation who is like using it to, and I think to use things to do things that I don't think they need Chat GPT for, like for recipes or like writing an email. I'm like, you can Google that. You don't have to siphon off, resources to do that. But yeah, a lot, especially my writing department, we are all very anti AI, especially generative AI. Yeah, generative AI for sure. But I feel like a lot of people think that like, oh, it's coming, you just have to accept it. But, if we had that attitude about all things, there's no telling what, the world would be like. We have to push back on things that we don't agree with and don't participate in those things. And it doesn't seem like a clean mesh to have English and AI be kind of pushed together.
No, or writing AI.
Yeah.
And then you brought it up. So yeah, it's not going anywhere. Well, bank robbery is not going anywhere either. But are you robbing a bank tomorrow, Adrian? Are you?
Exactly.
Are you, Peggy Ann? No.
Exactly. No.
Neither am I. So so the only reason we don't even talk about AI on this show. The only reason I brought it up is, do you think that because people are getting wrong answers faster from ChatGPT that they're more bored, and so that's what's caused, because the blossoming of this boredom topic has paralleled the blossoming of people using ChatGPT. Or am I
Yeah,
just making a connection that's not there?
I think that there is a lot to be said about instant gratification, which you can get on the internet anyway. And then ChatGPT, like if you look up something on or via ChatGPT, you don't have to scour through like Google searches, like things that you could simply Google. You don't have to like, click through multiple sources or scroll through different pages or, whatever. It's all like given right there. And so I do think that there is something to be said about making that instant gratification even more instant, because Google, if you Google now, they have an AI section at the top that is not always right. There have been times I've looked up things about movies and it's gotten completely wrong, something that I literally just watched, or a singer shares a name with a person that's a criminal, so it says that this singer killed somebody. Like, it's not right. But people take it because it's right there, and they think that, oh, it's here, and our smartest scientists are behind it, or whoever, our techs or engineers, so it must be right, and it's not.
So for the viewers that don't know this, there used to be, once that started, because I scroll right by that, I don't even read that part because I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to let the algorithm even see me pausing on that. And it used to be, which Peggy Ann and I don't cuss, but if you typed in a cuss word, like if you were looking up, I don't know, monkey eating habits, right? And you put in a cuss word, the AI thing wouldn't be there. It would just go straight to the Google thing. But then the algorithms learn that, because AI won't do cuss words until recently. And but then the algorithms learn that. But I just learned last week, if you put -AI in there, it won't come up. It gives you one fact. It forces one popular fact on you, and then so where that AI summary isn't there anymore if you put -AI in your search term, and it doesn't say that one fact it's like the most popular fact about what monkeys eat. And then your Google searches are there, but I suspect that'll go away once the algorithms learn that people are using that. So
yeah, and you can't, I've also heard that, and you can't just turn it off. So you would have to put that, they're already making it hard. You have to put it every single time because there's not a setting to where you can just turn that off.
Yeah,
so they're already making it, they're already making it difficult for you to avoid it because, again, it's path of least resistance. It's human nature. You're just gonna stop using it and maybe ignore it or whatever. Like, so.
What do you think? We're so off topic already. We're just starting. What do you think? There's some reason, like I'm in a ton of writers groups, and I'm in anti-generative AI writers groups as well. But in a regular writers group where that discussion isn't banned, there's this need to talk about how wonderful it is by some Gen X or some boomer writer who's like, oh, look at this outline it made for me, or look at this thing that it did for me. Look. Okay, I made my breakfast in a microwave instead of on the stove tonight. I didn't go to Facebook and post about how, the wonders of microwaves. What's compelling people to, like, I drove to Aldi. I didn't walk to Aldi this morning. What's compelling people to talk about, like, are they trying to justify why they're using it? Like, I don't care how you got your outline. Why are you posting in this group that you used a robot to make your outline? I didn't post that I drove my car to Aldi.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think just because it's and I don't think that people might be doing this with this in mind, but it's a hot topic right now. You post about that, you get engagement, or you get people talking, or maybe something like that. But yeah, you're right. We don't share every single convenience that we have, in our daily lives.
So weird. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why do I need to know this? Do you? So is oversharing part of boredom?
It might be. Over the years of having Facebook, I've seen a lot of people post things that, maybe they, just needed somebody to talk to, or, or maybe their community is online, and, there is nothing wrong with that. There are a lot of people who, some people live in areas where you're not around maybe like-minded people, or you live far away from your friends or family, and your community is on there. But I think there is like a compulsion to like share every little thing. Like Twitter went through that, like, and Instagram when it first started. The way that people post on Instagram is so much different. And you have stories now, but I think that's maybe not so much of boredom, but more of like these people care about every little thought that I have, and I need to like put it out there into the world.
They think they do.
Yeah, they think they do. Yeah.
Peggy Ann.
Yes, I wanted to tell you that I really like what you said about instant gratification. I feel like the world used to be so much slower. People didn't mind waiting, and people would just, I don't know, sit around a fireplace and chat in the 1900s maybe. But with the invention of computers and technology and phones and stuff, we just, I don't know, everything just seems to go faster and faster with like fast food, even fast information. I don't know, then those fast reels, like, I don't know, like just 10 seconds of a laugh or something. I don't know. I just feel like sometimes, like you said, boredom is good. Waiting is okay. It's
Mhm.
okay to sit in your space and just kind of think. I don't know.
Yeah,
Go
just
slower.
be. Yeah, just be. That book that I talked about, Stolen Focus, not going to get us even more off topic, not going to get on a soapbox, but just dropping a little idea here. A lot of that is centered around this like hustle culture to make people more money. So you get in your fast car and stop at fast food to get your fast coffee to get to your job so that you can work more. You take 30-minute lunches so you can work more and produce more. um, and a lot of it is built on that. People don't have a lot of work life balance anymore because of phones. So like you're up later, you're not sleeping well because you're answering emails, or different things like that. But that book goes more into that if you're interested in that. I will not get on that one today, but it's really fascinating to think about it that way.
Yeah, I'm guilty. Well, I'm not addicted to my phone. I don't even know where my phone is half the time. Seriously, it's in my book bag or whatever. But I am guilty of never sleeping and always staying busy. And we talked about that last time. I can't remember. Oh, actually, now that I'm saying the sentence out loud, I can't remember the last time I was bored. I know when I'm bored. I'm when I wait in line. I'm bored. I don't know if we talked about that last time we were here, but
Yeah.
when Emily and I went to Southern Festival of Books, she's like, you haven't eaten all day. And I'm like, yeah, because I won't stand in line at a food truck and all the lines are like crazy long. It's just, it's boring to stand in line when you already, there's no surprise at the other end. Like, it's not like going to a new restaurant and, like, if I'm standing at the pizza food truck, I know I'm going to get pizza when I get there. There's no surprise. There's nothing. When was the last time each of one of you were bored?
That's a good question, because I feel like I have like done work to get comfortable being that way. Like, I mean, there are times when like my stepson is watching something that I like don't care about, and I'm like, okay, what can I do while he's like doing that? And usually I'll like read or, tidy up around the house or like do something like that. But I think I've gotten really good at not minding like, being in the car. Like, I get car sick, so I can't read in the car or like mess with my phone too much. So I just like stare out the window or close my eyes or whatever. And my mind is going like 1,000 miles an hour. So I feel like I have like stuff that I'm constantly thinking about. But I can't think of the last time that I felt like, oh my God, I'm so bored, unless I was like reading something that didn't interest me or watching a movie that didn't interest me. It was like the stimulation like wasn't what I expected. It was like that kind of boredom, not because I had a lack of anything to do, if that makes sense.
So it's not always turning off the electronics. It's like you can turn off all electronics and then be so busy running your kids to soccer practice, and
Yeah.
you got 5 kids and you're going here and you're going there and you're not even looking at your phone, but you're still just over busy, overstimulated.
Right. There's laundry and dishes and cleaning and shopping and yeah.
So
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
You mentioned brain chemistry earlier in a book that you read. What do you know exactly like what the difference is in the brain when you're busy and overstimulated versus when you're not doing anything?
So mostly what I remember that really stuck with me was that when we are bored, and this is like not doing anything. I'm not just like replacing like screens with a book, like, a less like harmful form of like entertainment. But when you're just like bored, you're out walking, your brain is working to like make connections, and connect and like store memories as well. So like it affects like your short-term memory. But I think that's why a lot of time, I don't know if you've ever noticed, like when you're getting ready to lay down to go to bed, or like you're in the shower and you're doing something very rote, like you just like connect maybe like something that happened to your childhood to something that you read, or, you are stuck. I get stuck writing like poems, and sometimes I'll go do something like I don't have to think about that I've done 100 times. And like my brain can kind of work there in the background and help make connections. And so if you are constantly feeding your brain, it can't do that because it's taking in new information that it's trying to store. And that process is hindered.
Way to avoid the question there, Peggy Ann, of when the last time you were being bored. Like
I know, right?
sticking a
That was
different
pretty
question in
slick
there.
of me. I thought I almost got away with it.
What? So, answer the question. When was the last time you were bored?
I guess maybe yesterday waiting for the doctor's office.
Yeah,
So
in a
I
waiting
was
room.
right.
It literally has waiting in the title of it.
I was too nervous to look at my phone or anything, but
Yeah. Peggy Ann doesn't know this, but Adrian's a big John Prine fan, and exactly the stuff that we're talking about when he was a mailman. Like, could you have a more boring job than deliver mail to the same neighborhood to the same people over and over and over? So he wrote some of his best songs on his mail route because he didn't have to think. Like, it's not like how it is today when it's we have a different mailman every day. But he knew that route inside and out, so his mind was free to wander and roam and connect. And
Yeah, one of his biggest songs, "Hello in There," he wrote because he noticing, and then like, like the older people who were in their homes all by themselves or maybe lonely or whatever, while he was walking his same route that he did every single day, putting the mail in the box, same thing every day. And he made connections and thought of lyrics while he was walking and doing that very, to him, rote activity. Like, I'm going to my job, doing the same thing I do every day. And he was able to, write in his head. And when he got off, he wrote that down and wrote some of his best songs that way.
Awesome.
Noticing
That's
is
smart.
huge.
Mm-hmm.
We don't notice
Yes.
enough as much as we used to.
We don't.
Do either one of you have, going back to phones, a phone app where you keep notes for whatever you're writing, your poetry or your book or whatever? Do you use your notes app in your phone?
Oh, I definitely do. I
Do you
have a zillion notes for just random stuff.
do you, Adrian?
I use mine when I can't get to my pen and pencil. So if I am standing in a line and I think of something or notice something, I don't want to dig all that. Even though I have a little notebook and pen with me all the time, I don't want to dig that out of my bag. I can do it on one hand on my phone. Or if I'm again, fleeting thoughts, don't want to forget. If I'm, talking to someone and they say something, I'm like, hold on real quick, let me I'm gonna write that down or whatever. But it's not my main source. I know a lot of people who write just straight write on their notes app, but that's kind of like my backup if I am not able to get to pen and paper.
When Peggy Ann and I started this novel, so I never did that. And then when we had Kirsten Modulin on the show, she scrolled through. She held up her phone and she scrolled through all of her ideas. And she has two things. One, her ideas, because I wrote 54 books in 8-year woman. And then for real. And then she has one of just names. Like she's in a restaurant, she hears some weird name and she'll put, so she has another one name. But she scrolled and scrolled and scrolled and scrolled. She has enough ideas to write 100 more books just in her phone. And then but I was like you, I always did on a legal pad mostly, but also whatever I could grab. And so here's some real ones I just pulled off the desk. Well, that's going to do me a lot of good because I can't read it 2 weeks later when I'm writing our next chapter for our book. And so I've started using it with this book, which is now making me more reliant on the phone. But I'm using it for things I notice. So when you talked about noticing, that's what reminded me of. And so I noticed a turn of a phrase, or I noticed how this woman at Kroger walked away from this guy, and her countenance as she walked away. And so I'm using it it's more a noticing list than it is an idea list.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. If you're writing because you have a notes app on your phone, do that. It's better than letting those ideas wash away. I think my problem is that when I go to do actually something useful on my phone, I just get into a rabbit. I go to look up something or pay a bill, and then I'm like, oh, I have a notification over here and I have an email. I think that's the thing that needs to be worked on with me personally, and I'm sure other people too. But yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with inherently using the notes app on your phone to jot down ideas, because it's better than to lose them and not have them.
I didn't know until we started working on this book. Maybe you knew. Adrian's smarter than I am, so maybe she already knew this. But do you think that when Dickens was alive, so I did a deep dive into Dickens before, because we're serializing our novel on Substack, and so I did a deep dive into how he serialized Oliver Twist or whatever. And first of all, how do you know how old he was when he wrote Oliver Twist?
No.
Guess.
22.
25. And do you know what his
Close.
job was? They hired him. I don't remember the name of the magazine. But they hired him as the managing editor of the magazine, and he's like, I'm going to use this for my next novel. And a 25-year-old, I'm bringing this up now because do you think he was bored? Running a magazine, writing Oliver Twist on top of he did that with everything. He didn't just write Oliver Twist, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that, at more points he probably was, because like, what did he do when when he got home? Like,
He
there's,
wrote some more.
exactly, like, and I think some people too just have like that natural like compulsion to write. It's interesting reading different crafts. Some people have to make like a real hard discipline about it. Some people can just like write and seem to never run out of ideas. But I'm sure he had to have been bored. They didn't have anything to do while they were waiting in line for things or riding their horses.
We know that he struggled to pay his bills, right? So he sat down at his desk to pay bills, and he's like, "I don't have enough money to cover the end of the month. What else can I do?" And so he had that real struggle.
Yeah, I think writing as a necessity or as a job is like obsolete. Because I know like a lot of like early American women writers did that to make money. They did it because it was something for them, and they could make money off of it and sell their stories to magazines and stuff.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way. That's a great point. That nowadays I'm a novelist because I have to express, I want my voice out there. Or I'm writing nonfiction because I have an important cause that I want to give my voice to, those are all valid. But yeah, who sits down to write money or to write money to write money? Who sits down to write a novel just to make money?
Yeah, I feel like the only people that do that have already established careers from like the 70s, like Stephen King and Dean Koontz and people who probably I'm sure are fine by now, but that's their job. Like they've made it a job. But yeah, I feel like, if I went and looked at my finances for the month and I was like, man, I'm going to be $200 short, I would probably be like, I can babysit, I can clean, I can, maybe pick up an extra shift or something. I would not be like, I have to like sit down and write an article. And that would like never occur to me because one, it would take more than a month to get anything out of that, and I probably wouldn't even be paid. So it's changed a lot.
Sit down and write an article and sell it to Women's World, and
Yeah,
then 6 months later you'd get the check.
there
But
you go.
Exactly.
I don't know, man. I think you can't. Well, I don't know. I want to push back on that a little bit, but you're so right. I can't. I I think there's more process today. So like
Mhm.
we just launched the Substack, right? 1 week ago, and so it'll make money eventually. And
Yeah.
not just a hope. It like we already know it will. We don't, but I'm not tying my electric bill to it just in case or anything like that. But
Right.
we also didn't decide to do it on Substack for the instant money. I did it for the accountability. Well,
Mhm.
I don't know if I've asked Peggy Ann. Peggy Ann, why did you agree to this? But I did it because I knew I'd get a chapter done every week, and I'm not without Emily driving me because Emily was always like 3 chapters real fast, and then I would get 1 chapter done, and I was always she was the rabbit, and I was always chasing that. So I knew I'd have to get a chapter done every 2 weeks anyway, and so that's why I did it for the discipline. Well, why'd you do it, Peggy Ann?
You told me to. I'm kidding.
Oh,
I just figured you knew what you were doing, and like you said, the accountability is good too. Because sometimes when I write, I get really excited for the first couple chapters, and then I just kind of stop. I get frustrated or writer's block or something. So this will help keep me kind of going, I guess.
your next book, Adrian,
Mhm.
is it still poetry about the post office, or is it something different now?
It is. No, it is still the same. I am a slow creator. I'm sure a lot of people out there are. I'm getting closer to being done. My goal is by the end of the year to be submitting. I find that if I spend too much time inside my work, I hate it. So I have to take breaks. And also, I have to keep myself I don't know, not necessarily like inspired, but like to write, you have to read, and I read, and I, want to make sure I have time to read a lot and have space to where I can come back kind of fresh when I edit.
And you do read a lot. Now, I mean, there are bookstagrammers who read. That's all they do for a living is read. But you're right. You're at the level right below that you read a lot. Even though you haven't read this book yet, even though I keep teasing you because you haven't read my novel yet to put on every month. I see a list and I'm not on it yet. And but you do. So that's a good point. You have to feed that part of your brain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you? The people that are on Substack, like there's poets on Substack, and they're like that they use Substack for the discipline, but those poems won't wind up in the book, right? And so here's here's an extra poem I have for my subscribers or whatever. I think that I'm gonna guess that wouldn't help you. That would take away time from your book, like maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that's great for people that can do that, but I have always found it hard to just like, unless something has been like turning over in my mind for a while, to just like sit down and like spit something out. Like any sort of generative workshop that I've done, I like them. I get a lot of great ideas, but I don't leave with like a first draft of a poem. I leave with like words that I like and a couple lines and maybe like an idea of where I like wanted to go. But I've really got to like ruminate and like think on stuff. And part of that I think I could fix if I had better discipline and I wrote every day and like worked that muscle more. Because there is something to be said about that. A lot of, I just went to a talk with Nikki Finney, an incredible poet, and she writes every morning from, I think she said 4 to 5, because she knows like the phone's not going to be ringing and like she doesn't have to worry about her students, and like she does that every single day. And there's like the artist way thing where you just write down every morning and write down 3 pages every morning of just what it's a brain dump, essentially. Whatever is on your mind, you're not setting down to write a poem or a chapter. You're just getting that muscle going. But yeah, back to your point. Yeah, I don't think I would be able to do that, to just like write something for fun to get it out, because I feel like I get so focused on like what I'm actually putting in like a collection and working on that.
Peggy Ann also writes poetry.
I do. I actually wrote a collection about my time in the Navy for my final project as an undergrad. So that was fun.
Yeah.
She's a Renaissance woman. I was gonna try to connect creative nonfiction, poetry, and painting all together. Creative endeavors. I was gonna try to connect all those under the umbrella of boredom. Roller derby. I saw you selling your roller derby equipment.
I did, yes. Yep.
Do you feel like that's part of your? That wasn't that a creative? You're an actor when you're roller derbying. Was that not a creative outlet?
I think it. I don't know. Like, you definitely have to be strategic and creative and like, when you're playing, about how to like move around, the other team. But it was the physical activity was really great, which a lot of like writers walk or run or, something to help feed that. But there was a lot of like strategy in the game and other things I needed to be paying attention to. Instead of just like letting my mind wander when I played. But that's like the only sport I ever played, so I guess I did have to put on this sort of persona of like, I could be an athletic person, I can do these hard things, because I'd never played a sport before.
But you have character names and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you're known for this signature move or whatever, right? No? Am I making all this up?
No, I played a specific position. I don't think I had a signature move, but I did have, yeah, we all have derby names, which I think was part of the, fun of derby history that has continued.
Peggy Ann, was there any creative endeavor that you've had where you have to put on a different, well, like I just heard Jack Black talking about, when you're a performer, you have to perform being a performer in addition to the job, the acting thing that you're doing. And so there's two levels. There's doing the job, and then doing the job of being a performer, because you're not normally, and you're driving in your car, or when you're normally standing in line at Kroger, you're not a performer. And so there's two levels to it. Do you have anything like that where I have to convince myself to be the performer so I can do the acting? I have to convince myself to be the roller derby girl to do the roller derby.
I think I see what you're getting at. I feel like there's that can be kind of akin to the phrase people use of like dress for the job you want. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be a writer and a poet, like, so, or I am a writer and a poet, I want to do this. So what does a writer do? They write every day, they read, they do this and that. Like, I feel like when you're first getting into that, like, you know, as a young creative, like, you read those craft books and biographies of like people that you admire, and you're like, how can I emulate this so I too can be, you know, a professional writer, or, you know, a poet or a dancer, or, you know, whatever. A lot of actors are like, I wanted to be Meryl Streep when I was a child. How do I do that? Like, you know, you go to LA, you do theater, whatever. Like, I get what you're getting at.
So do you I don't know. I don't know the right vocabulary to talk about. Do you segment do different parts of you? Are you different? I don't know what I'm trying to say. When Peggy Ann, when you're a painter, are you different creative than when you're a poet? Adrian, when you're a poet, are you a different creator than when you're roller derby? That's not a good example. What do you create besides poetry?
The main hobbies, or, you know, work I have outside of my job and parenting and, you know, taking care of my house, are reading and writing. Those are like my main things that I do.
Yeah, that's how I am. I don't have an extra
Yeah,
thing.
I've
So
really siloed myself.
yeah. So Peggy Ann, so do you feel different when you're creating a painting than when you're creating a poem or a chapter for our novel? Or are you
A
just a
little,
creative?
I don't really know. I mean, I don't know. I feel like maybe kind of using different parts of my brain for both. I'm not sure though. I don't know. I mean, in both, I do get really lost in what I'm doing, and I kind of forget what's around me for a while. But I don't really know.
I wonder if you use different noticing skills when you're a painter than when you're a poet or what. Well, David Lynch. So there you go. Adrian's an expert on David Lynch. He do you do you I almost asked you a leading question. Do you think David Lynch felt differently painting as he did when he was typing or creating some contraption out of a stick? Or he's just creative?
You know, that's a good question. I obviously can't say for sure, but I feel like he just had so much in him that he wanted to express, and a lot of it was visual. So I think rather, you know, it, you know, be in a painting or a sculpture or his movies, like, I feel like there was definitely like the visual element of it. I mean, and he was also a musician too, so I'm not a musician, so I can't speak to how that works. But I mean, I'm sure that is a different type of expression to get out. Maybe like a feeling that he couldn't quite visualize, or maybe like to elevate a visual. And combining those two things.
He was the king of noticing, man. He
Yeah.
this light over here is flickering. Now it's whatever. It's the opening shot of this film. Like, he would notice. He was very in tune with his surroundings.
Yeah, absolutely. And open to them as well. You know, there is a There's a scene in an episode of Twin Peaks where Cooper and Harry Truman go to get the lockbox from a bank that Laura had, and they go in this conference room, and there is like I think it's like a deer head just on the table. It wouldn't stay on the wall, so they just left it on the table and kept it. There's a lot of different things like that throughout the show that you got to work with what you have too. You can have a vision, but if you notice something else might be working or something else comes to you, be open enough to roll with that.
Do you? So I won't put you on the spot if you watched any of Sickna's episodes where we've talked to her. So she's an artist, and on the David Lynch video of where he's demonstrating his checking stick, his thinking, feeling, his intuition, he decides he needs to destroy this painting. Like it's almost done, and he puts his thinking, feeling to it, and he decides he needs to destroy it and start all over, which horrifies me to think of that. And then Sickna, she made painting called Portal, and it had this horse, and there was a dark and light, so there was two halves, and the portal was in between them. And she destroyed the first version of the dark side of Portal, but she cut it up into little pieces, and she's in the Netherlands, and they so the canvas, she cut it up into, I don't know how big the pieces are. I'm imagining them this big. They could be bigger. And then you take it to there's this women's group that reuses those canvases, and so on the back is a little piece of her portal, but on the front is a brand new painting. And what a great way to
Oh, love
not,
that.
besides not being wasteful, but just to inspire these other women who do that all the time. Are you two destroyers? Will you destroy something that you don't like?
I
No,
couldn't.
no,
Oh.
I'm a hoarder. I hoard everything that I make, even
no.
if I don't really like it. I just put it in a little, I don't know, a drawer or something and forget about it, but I still keep it.
Yeah, I have, the luxury of having a computer where I can save different versions of things. I did recently go through and read some documents and stuff that I had from like college, that I felt like I could move past, but that has been like a lot of time has passed, and I've spent all this time not thinking about that, or it didn't hit me when I read it again, so like I just deleted it. But for what I'm working on now, like I have the luxury of like throwing something in a Word document and like tucking it away. Or I keep, in my, journals, when they're filled up, I like put them on the shelf. And sometimes if I want to write, but I don't know where to go, I might flip through those and see if anything comes back. I think that's called a morgue file, if you keep pieces of like writing and stuff to come back to.
How about you, Peggy Ann?
Very rarely. I will go back and look at them, I guess. And I actually found something like a small chapter of something I wrote years ago, I think in the Navy or something. And I don't know, I wasn't happy with it, and I don't really want to do anything with it, but I don't know. It, like you said, it just kind of depends, and depends on the day and how I feel, I guess.
No, or it could put you in a mind, like it could put you in a mindset or a mood or a feeling that
Mhm.
That's
triggered
true.
something else. I
Very true.
so I had. It's funny you said that about the morgue file. So someone called me and asked, I had written 2 years ago, 2 summers ago. I don't write shorts. I think in America, unless you're gonna make the film, like there's no reason to write a short. No one's gonna buy your short. In Europe, yeah, but no one's gonna buy your short and make it. And so, but this guy, this producer, uh, commissioned a handful of us to write shorts for this project, and he only two of us. He picked to do two of them, and so it was like 13 people or 11 people or something. Two of us wrote two, everyone else wrote one. Well, he ended up not doing them, and so the rights reverted back to me. Well, just this in the last month, someone said, uh, Do you have anything that would fit this? Because I don't write shorts. Certainly wasn't going to write a new one for this project, but it's a valid project and it's a great opportunity. And when I did the other one 2 years ago, I had a 15-page version of it and a 10, and then he wanted it cut to 10. So I'm not there. It's not my precious baby. I'll do whatever you pay me to do. and so I had the 10 page version of it. So I had those two, and I'm like, I think this one will work. And so I just in one night, I reworked it into like a 12-page or 13-page version of it. It was somewhere between the two versions, and the guy is super happy with it. And so had I not saved that, the project 2 years ago was so specific, you would never think that you'd ever have another need for it. But thematically, there was things that I did use, and so it's worth keeping them. David Lynch, I know he's gone now, but you can't destroy that painting. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I wonder what it's like to be unsentimental about your art. I have a friend that I just commissioned a piece from, and she has dabbled in a lot of different mediums, and she does not keep anything for herself, which I think is pretty interesting. I think like when you're making for somebody, that's a little bit different. But if you're just like making something, I feel like I would have a hard time. I would need some time. Like I have to give myself time limits on things. Like I think I need this now, but if I don't use it in X amount of time, it's got to go, because then it's just taking up space. Somebody else could use it, etc. So I know the art's a little bit different, but yeah.
Do you think she just doesn't want to? Like, I've worked at places in the past where I didn't want to bring anything from work home because I didn't want to see work when I was at home. And do you think
Mhm.
that's part of it, or it's just two separate things to her?
I don't know. I asked her if it was because she, like, similar with what I said earlier, like if I just look at my stuff too long, I hate it. And she was like, I think that is part of it, because she had a couple other pieces out that were commissioned, and she was like, this one, I think this looks to this, and this one looks to this, and I didn't see that at all. But she's the one that made it. She spent all that time with it, and then it's just sitting there until they get picked up for her to look at. So I can totally understand that. Like I said, I have to take some time away from my work when working on it, so I don't just hate it and get fed up with it.
So it's done, but she sees the flaws in it.
Hmm.
Oh. So hold your books up, because I can't find my signed copies of your books. Are
Yeah.
you, and say both of the titles?
I have
Side of the
This
Dirt
Side of the Dirt
and
and
Lynchian.
Lynchian.
Are you that way? Like, will you open either one of those and go, "Oh my goodness, I don't like this sentence anymore, this line"?
I actually, since I have like published this and not really, like, I've read from it a couple of times, at readings and stuff, and some of these I'm like, that was pretty cool. I can't believe I thought of that, or something like that. So I think, like, since I, I don't know, like something in my brain where it was like, I put this together, it's published, I'm done with it. And they went, these especially went through a lot of rounds of editing, because a lot of these I wrote in college and workshops and stuff. And so once I like published it, I have sold books and stuff and whatever, but I've only like read through it a couple times at readings or whatever. And yeah, I'll go back and read, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. I can't believe I wrote that.
Yeah, I was the same way when I pulled out those old scripts. I was like, "Oh," because I planted this thing on page 2 and it pays off on page 12 or 15 or whatever page on the. I'm like, "Oh, that was that was pretty good."
Yeah.
That's amazing. How about you, Peggy Ann? Now that you have a published something, you have a chapter out in the world that 47 people have seen in the last 24 hours. Uh, is there a sentence? Is there a sentence that you're regretting or anything like that?
Not really. I'm actually really proud of what I put out
Yeah.
there, but at the same time, I don't know, just I can never get over that feeling of I could have done better. I could have I I don't even know how to describe it, but I just something about it kind of irks me, but overall I think it's okay. I mean, I've let my mother read it, and then you read it, of course, John Mayer, so
It's
y'all both approved it, so
quite the sales pitch you just gave everyone. I think it's okay.
no way to
Um,
advertise.
I was gonna say when we were talking earlier about Substack, it's so to me it's so weird. Like when the people put a poem on Substack or whatever, but like so 47 people have read the chapter in the in the last few days. 47 people didn't buy either one of these books yesterday. You know that like that's so it's so instant.
That's true.
It's kind of like so when you Adrian you hosted open mics, like the response is instant
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to it being published and someone reading it in the privacy of their own home months later. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Do you miss that?
Open mics? I kind
Yeah.
of do, actually. I read it one a couple of weeks ago, I think, or probably more than a couple weeks ago now, but it was really fun. And I was very like nervous about it, but yeah, I ended up having a lot of fun, and I mostly I mean, it's good for me to speak in front of people because I don't like doing that at all. But it's great to hear other people, and I think that's what I miss a lot is being around other poets.
All right. Tell us, and we're fortunate enough that this is going to be on next Tuesday. So tell us about some of the appearances that you have. Normally, we're 6 months out or whatever, and we don't get to promote them. But you have some coming up in November, end of October. Tell us about those.
I do. So on October 30th, it's a Thursday, I'll be a featured reader with Dante Navarro at Carmichael's, the one on Frankfurt Avenue in Louisville, for a horror poetry night. So I will be reading some from Lynchian, and then I wouldn't call myself a horror poet, but horror does inform my writing a lot. And a lot of my new poems have got some like body horror elements. So I'll be reading from that. I'm really excited. And then there'll be an open mic after, so I'll be excited to hear other people read. And then on November 1st, I will be set up at the Hardin County Public Library for a author book sale. There will be, I think, like 30 something authors there, people from Kentucky, local authors from all kinds of genres, set up and selling their books, and I will be there selling mine.
So October 30th is you said Louisville,
Louisville. Mm-hmm.
and then Hardin County. What's a city in Hardin County in Kentucky?
Elizabethtown.
Okay, then November 1st,
Mm-hmm.
Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Go see Adrian. Do you have any last question for Adrian, Peggy?
I would like to hear a little more about your poetry. I know you mentioned some horror elements. That's fascinating to me. I've written some horror stories before, but would you mind talking a little more about your poetry?
I did
Yeah.
not classify you as a horror poet.
I'm
Yeah,
not really
I guess it's in
poetry,
the
but
eye of the reader.
that's true. Yeah, horror is very subjective, and I think writing it is a little bit harder than like the visuals. But so yeah, my first collection, This Side of the Dirt, is more poems just about growing up rural, and it's inspired a lot by that, also with some like surreal type elements to it. And then this one is of course all inspired by David Lynch, who is not an outright horror creator. He's got his he's probably, I mean, I think he's like the master of blending genres. There's drama and comedy and surrealism and horror and all kinds of stuff. So I wrote some stuff inspired by him. And then my new collection is called Gone Postal. It's just about my time at the post office, and it's kind of weird. Worked in rural offices, met a lot of interesting people. but a lot of the horror elements have to do, I love body horror a lot. And so I have, like a poem where I have a dream that like my eye like falls out and I like it's stuck to my hand and like, weird things like that. So I have stuff like that kind of like incorporated through the poems, which is why I said I don't think I'm like an outright like horror poet, but those elements really do inform my writing, the eerie, the like body horror, the uncanny kind of thing.
Cool. I like the sound of that.
I think someone's eyeball did fall out last time I was at the post office, if I remember correctly.
Probably, weirder things have happened. I did have an instance one time where I was working in an office. I was just helping out in an office that was not mine, and I had an old woman come in and tell me about how she had found a rabbit head on her mailbox, and I was like, well, this just writes itself. Like, I didn't have to do much. I just like wrote down that whole interaction and kind of played with some like phrasing and line breaks, but like I'm telling you, working with the public, you can't you just have to listen,
Pay attention and notice things.
Yeah,
yes. Yeah.
Give our viewers a call to action, Adrian. Tell them to do something. Get out of their bubble. Turn off the camera or turn off the laptop and go do something.
Yeah. How about you guys go? I feel like you've had call to actions like this before. I'm going to try to make it a little bit different. Pull something out of your morgue file, and something that you have put away, not published, not messed with. Write it down in a journal and go out and like people watch and see if you can build something around that.
Oh, use it as the looking
it's like
glass.
Yeah, use it like a catalyst or a jumping off point. So something that touches on a little bit of what we talked about today.
I like that. That's wonderful. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. Thank goodness you didn't say chop the head off of a rabbit and put it on top of a mailbox. I'm glad you didn't go with that.
No. But listen for those stories. They're out there.
Yeah. Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And we're back. Okay, now, oh my goodness. Well, how about Adrian? How are we going to put her in the top 5 fascinating women? There's not enough slots in the top 5.
I know, we need more top 5 slots.
What's your biggest takeaway from what she had to say?
I really like a lot of what she said, actually. The morgue file was really interesting. I didn't know that was what I've been keeping all this time. I have a zillion half-finished stories and on my pages and my Word app and all, and sometimes my notes. I use them sometimes for poems or half-baked stories. So I don't know. I might try that call to action actually this week sometime. Play around with some of my morgue files.
I thought it was interesting that from both of you actually that she said, I'm not a horror poet, but I like these horror elements. And then she gave the eyeball example, right? I can see where that would be a horror element. But for me, who's not a horror person, when I read that, or I haven't read that one because it's not out yet, but if I were to read that, I would just think of it was surrealism. And but that is body horror, popping your eyeball out. And then you, like, when you were submitting your sample chapter and you're like, well, I have some dark horror stuff, and like Poe. Well, yeah, Poe is horror. And then you gave the example of the ceiling fan ticking, like the telltale heart. That's horror, but it's not bloody slasher. I don't know.
Oh, somebody did that in the end of that one, it turns out. So kind of maybe you call it more mystery thriller or something. I don't know.
You're just so sweet and innocent. It doesn't, like, I don't picture you taking a knife to someone's eyeball.
I wouldn't. Maybe some of my crazy characters might, but I wouldn't.
I hope that doesn't happen in our book.
I hope not either.
Anything else you want to say about Adrian?
Well, she was a really interesting person. I do feel like I personally am stimulated all the time because when I'm not in class in grad school and all, I'm doing something related to it. I'm reading constantly. I'm working on a prospectus or drafting an annotated bibliography, which I hate. But and then if I'm just laying in bed asleep, I'm thinking about all of that, or I'm listening to music or binge watching TV. So I feel like boredom is a good thing, that I could use more of that in my life to slow my brain down, give me a little peace.
I think there's a lack of intentionality in my world that is probably like when you gave an example of TV, like I don't have time to watch TV, right? But if I were going to watch something on TV, it would be an intentional choice because I want to see how, like, I watched Butterflies Are Free because I wanted to see how they contained these three characters. They're basically contained to an apartment, and I wanted to see how they did that. That's the last thing I watched for pleasure. What was some movie from 1969 or whatever with Goldie Hawn, but there was a purpose. Like I don't ever do anything without a purpose. Like I'm never gonna just sit around and watch. I don't know. It always seems like there's a purpose, and I watch podcasts, but even then they're like because I'm learning how to write a better joke, or I'm like I always I think boredom requires a lack of intentionality that I don't have.
Yeah, I I try to be a little intentional to make sure that I turn my brain off at night because honestly it just turns off by itself, but I actually have like a limited amount of time during the day where my brain works. You Once upon a time it would work great at night like 6 to 10 or 12. I was a night owl, I still kind of am, but now it's more like 1 in the afternoon to maybe 5 or 6 at night, and that's when I get most of my work done, and after that, I just kinda have to set it aside, eat dinner, watch NCIS with my mom, and just kinda rest my brain a little, but even then, I'm still not really resting it because I'm still watching TV, my brain's still thinking and doing stuff, so
I don't consider yourself a night owl, so
yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm not real. I don't know. I do kind of stay up late nowadays. Still
oh,
probably later than I should, but my brain's off. I'm just messing around on my phone or listening to music. So, or watching TV.
one of the things about being someone that never sleeps is you can on Facebook, like if I'm posting our episode on Facebook last night at 2 in the morning or whatever, I can see who's still up because there are little green dots on. And
Mm.
so I like if I have to ask Ashley Hargrove something, I know that she's gonna answer it because her little green dots on. So I know who those people are.
Hey, John Myers.
Yes.
Why do manta rays dive so deep down in the ocean?
Why do manta rays is this a riddle? This sounds like a riddle. Like
It's
I'm supposed to
not.
come up with a pun for an answer. Why do manta rays dive so deeply into the ocean? So the fact that they're diving deeply implies that they start not deep. They don't just stay down there that deep. You're saying they're up towards the top and then they go all the
Right.
way deep.
And then they come back up kind of fast, sort of. Well,
Oh,
maybe not immediately, but not like long enough to eat or whatever.
so I would say if they come up, I don't know anything about manta rays. So if they come up, then that must be because they need air. I don't know.
Hmm.
The water is different up there. So, but why would they go down? Why do they dive so deeply? Because yeah, do you like you put a blanket over your head? That was hilarious earlier. Um, you do you own? You seem like someone that would own a weighted blanket. Do you own weighted blankets?
I do own a weighted stuffy, a stuffed cat actually, but I don't own a weighted blanket.
It's not a sloth. Um, so I'm gonna say they go deep, they dive deep because of the pressure like it's almost like a weighted blanket for them, that it's there's more pressure the deeper they dive, and so it helps them feel secure to be surrounded by the water, the pressurized water. How about that?
I didn't think about that. That's a really good theory. I mean, that's certainly a possibility. I'm not even sure if scientists know why they do, but they have studied them. Scientists, researchers actually tracked about 24 manta rays and kind of around Indonesia, Peru, and New Zealand. And they noticed that they dived they dived about 1,200 meters, or kind of 3,937 feet underwater, and they came up really quick, so they didn't think that they were just eating or just hanging out down there. But they're thinking, and the researchers are kind of thinking that the manta rays go down to check, kind of like checking the news, sort of, or their Facebook posts. They're looking at the Earth's magnetic stuff, or the oxygen levels, that sort of thing, maybe light levels, and it's kind of their way of seeing what's going on on the earth and underwater, and maybe kind of to mapping where they're at, and so that means they can come back up, and yeah.
So because there's
That's what
more
I got.
details at the bottom than there are up at the top, where it's just
Right.
water and an occasional swimmer, uh,
Exactly.
they need to go down to the bottom to orient themselves.
Right, like a little mental map that they're charting for themselves so that they can migrate or go wherever they need to go.
Wow. I feel like we're going to use this in a story.
We might. We certainly could. I don't know
Wow.
how we'd fit it in, but that would be fun.
That's fascinating.
Isn't it?
Yep.
If you'd like to learn more about manta rays and boredom, possibly, please like and subscribe.
Wait, did they go down there because they're bored? I missed
I mean,
that part.
maybe we really don't know. I mean, I feel like
Oh,
we know more about space than we do our actual oceans.
true.
So that's what they say. So please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.
And go to our Substack, which I'll put right
Yes.
here, and it's in the show notes. Go to that and follow both of us. And when you enter our story, enter through at the top of mine. By the time you air this, hopefully it's by the top of both of them, it'll be pinned to the top. But enter the individual chapters through the table of contents of You Should Hope.
Renly Duval and Ravenna Brennan never meet.
Yeah, you should. You should hope they never.
And now we're ready for the final act.
Yes.
Are you ready for a fast-paced game?
Yeah, but I need to know what I'm gonna play for, because I'm not playing a game if I don't get a prize.
Okay, so your prize will be this lovely signed copy of, or actually it's an original of this, an oil pastel.
A signed copy of. Do you did that?
I did.
Zoom in on the signature.
Oh,
Oh my goodness, that's you.
I did it with an oil pastel crayon, so it's a little.
Okay, back up a little bit again so I can see the whole thing. Oh man, I want that.
I'll
What's it
try to
called?
win. You know, I don't have a name for it.
What? You don't start with a title? Today I'm gonna create la la la.
I don't know. Fallen Leaves, maybe?
Falling Leaves. All right, I'm gonna win Falling Leaves right now, and apparently it's gonna be fast paced.
Okay, so this game is called Rapid Fire Genre, and so I'll say the name of a genre really quick. I'm gonna go through them really fast, and as fast as I can anyway. And you need to say the name of a book or an author kind of related to that genre as fast as possible, preferably in under 30 seconds. So maybe it won't be too fast. I'll give you 30 seconds. I'll be nice. Questions, concerns, comments,
Nope.
complaints? Okay.
Nope.
Okay. So, ready, set, mystery.
Gregory MacDonald, Fletch.
Cool. 5 seconds. Romance.
You Better Hope Ray Venna. No, You Better Hope Ren Lee Duvall and Ray Venna Brennan never meet by us.
Good one. Good one. Okay. Fantasy, romantasy, or fantasy romance?
Akatar
Yeah.
by Sarah Maas.
I have to say, I kind of have a guilty love for that series.
Oh my gosh, do you like reading about those bird people doing stuff?
They're fae.
You're full of surprises.
I don't know. I really like how she writes about trauma and all. Some of it I can completely understand, and some of those feelings I felt. Okay, horror.
I probably don't have a horror book in this house. Time's ticking away.
15 seconds have elapsed.
Edgar Allan Poe, The Raven.
Cool. That was a good one.
That's an easy one.
Science fiction.
Joseph Hurtgen, a coworker of mine, is a science fiction writer. I was going to give him a plug. I can't remember what his book's called. I'll just say Kurt Vonnegut, Cat's Cradle.
Okay, just in time. Dystopian.
Hunger Games.
Cool, yeah. I loved that book when it came out. Memoir.
I got a million memoirs here. Let me just grab one. Martin Short, I must say.
Cool.
From the Half Price Bookstore.
Martin Short. All right. Thriller.
Like James Patterson stuff?
Sure. James Patterson works.
James Patterson stuff.
Okay. Comedy.
Oh, Jack Handy. Return to Honolulu.
Okay. Historical fiction.
I'm sorry, I fell asleep. I don't remember. But, I don't have any historical fiction here for sure. Dr. Nancy Wason Dynan. Things you would know if you were from around here.
Cool. Sounds interesting. Western.
True Grit. Louis L'Amour. Anything. Cowboy on a Fence.
Okay, cool.
Don't give me a point for that one.
I'll give you a point for it. That's fine. Christian inspirational.
Stephanie Jones. Anything with the gratitude in the title.
Cool. I see one right behind you, too.
Redeemed Imagination by Emily Brooks.
Yes.
Here's Christian fiction. Francis Rivera.
Cool. That'll work. I'll give you bonus points for that since I didn't have that one.
Since I didn't get the point for the other thing for the Western.
Yeah. Literary fiction.
Oh man, there's so many. Can it be short story collection of literary fiction?
Yeah, sure.
I have the perfect one right here. The Paper Lives They Lead.
Ah, yeah.
By Patrick Creerand.
Cool. Okay, speculative fiction.
Oh man. Do you count 1984 as speculative?
Yeah, I guess you could, couldn't you? I think so.
How do you define speculative? We had not a whole episode, but we had a half an episode about this. How do you define it? Mrs. Put me on the spot with all these genres.
I don't even know. There's going to be a class about it next semester that I'm considering taking, so I might learn about the definition then.
Okay. So here's the problem that we have with speculative fiction is today, anything set in the future that's not sci-fi, they call it, including Kirkus Review, including like lots of big reviewing places will call it speculative fiction. And that is not the true definition of speculative fiction. I actually, when this was happening, I went to the professor at my university that teaches speculative fiction. And I'm like, all of these things don't, just because they're set in the future doesn't mean Blade Runner is not speculative fiction. It's sci-fi. And but people are putting sci-fi under speculative fiction. So it's a world that we recognize, and one thing changes, and so what if we breathed water instead of air? Or what if everyone had 3 arms? And no, what if people had no thumb? Like, there's true speculative fiction. One element change of the world that we live in now. So we can imagine this world, and we can imagine how it would be different with that one thing that changes. It doesn't have to be a physical thing, but I gave it as examples of physical things. But so that's
Gotcha.
true speculative fiction. And gosh, I don't know. Is 1984 or is Animal Farm? Is that speculative fiction? If the animals could talk, is that the one thing that changed? No, because they gotta rule the world too.
That's true. That's interesting.
I don't know. Take that point away from me. I don't know.
I feel like 1984's could be speculative.
What's the one thing that changed?
Big Brother is always watching.
Yeah, but that's
I don't.
not that's not one thing.
Mm,
All right, I don't know.
okay.
Take my point away.
Nonfiction.
Any book I have here. I have so many nonfictions. I will. Here, I'll publicize one of Lucy's books. Writing and selling thriller screenplays and TV pilots by Lucy
Cool.
B. Hay.
Sounds good. And finally, flash fiction.
Oh, you think I have a collection of flash fiction?
Maybe. I don't know. Any story, anything.
Like a collection of short stories. That's not always flash fiction.
Minute, 1,000 words or less.
1,000 words or less. So a collection of short stories is what you're asking for?
Sure. I'm not going to count off for this one. I was just curious to see if you could think of something on the spot, but
I just held up Creran. That's a collection of short stories. Oh, here. This would definitely fall under that category. 1,000 words or less, and well, it's more poetry though. If I wouldn't have opened it, you wouldn't have known. So Adam Day's Left-Handed Wolf is, but it's more poetry than it is flash fiction. Oh, I'm gonna fail.
no, you got most of them, and I'm not even counting that last one because I added it to be mean, kind of. But
I get 6/8 of the painting. That's no good.
you got more right than you didn't. I kind of count the ones that you didn't want to count anyway, so I'm gonna say you win it.
Oh, you're so generous. What was that? The last category?
That was. And it turns out it wasn't as rapid fire as I thought it would be. So.
Oh, now the real Peggy Ann comes out criticizing me for being too slow.
No, it was more me. I started talking too, and I got kind of interested.
It's not me, it's you. Which ones did I fail?
I personally don't think you really failed on any, but you mentioned counting off for Western and speculative fiction.
Yeah, I don't have a Western. For sure.
I always think of Colonel Potter reading Zane Grey on MASH.
I have a good one for speculative fiction. Cinderella Liberator. What if Cinderella were the empowered one and not the one crushed by Rebecca Solnit? I assign that to my students. That would be a good one. And it's it flips the tables.
Oh, I love twisted fairy tales. They're fun.
I think it was from, if I remember correctly, it was from 2019. It was from before the lockdown. I remember that. Cool. Thanks. I want a painting. I want it framed.
Okay. I don't know if I can do that and ship it to you safely. I'd have
You don't
to
know how to
wrap
make
it
a
and wrap it.
frame? I want it framed in popsicle sticks. No. All right, cool.
We couldn't have done it without
Right,
you.
we couldn't have done it without you. Dang.
Yay!
You get me every time.